Cris Collinsworth from Football Night in America joining us from New York, I believe. Is that right, Chris?
Philadelphia, close enough.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Couple of things here. I always like when we have a quarterback controversy, but is it a controversy when you're winning? Like the 49ers, is it really a controversy if you're winning? The Eagles have a quarterback controversy, not San Francisco.
That's a pretty interesting point. I might have to steal that for Inside the NFL tonight.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, I don't think it's a controversy, though. Everybody has their own opinion. The big thought is that, you'd never lose your job over an injury and that type of thing. But, the other part of that is you don't take out somebody with a hot hand. And right now, when I look at Kaepernick, you just see another part of the offense that they don't have when he's not in there. I mean, this running quarterback thing is becoming a very real factor. I watched RG3, the tape of that yesterday, and it was almost eye-opening for me that, when they don't run him all the time, that it's better because now they're using the play action and the movement in the pocket and an occasional run in big situations and third down situations to be that differentiator, and Cam Newton. So now we have all three of these guys with this style that have won over the weekend. This was a big weekend with Cam Newton and Kaepernick and RG3 all winning for that style of play.
But you look at guys like if Brady and Peyton Manning were coming out of college now, even if Brady was going to be a 6th-round draft pick, or Peyton Manning at Tennessee, and they'd still say he couldn't win the big one, but would we question their athleticism? Would we look at them differently because of today's game and today's quarterback?
No, I don't think so. I think it's still option one to be able to stand in the pocket and attack a defense in its widest area. I mean, let's face it, Tom Brady now can attack a defense 60 yards in depth, 53 yards in width, and he can do it from one central location. I still think that is the easiest way to win football games. Unfortunately, there's fewer than 10 guys in the NFL that are really going to give you a chance to win a Super Bowl. Now, that's what we're talking about here, winning a Super Bowl from that one spot on the field. And then if you don't have one of those guys, you either have to try and go trade everything you've got to go get one, or you have to say, what are my options at this point? And I think right now the least expensive option is to say, I can get a Colin Kaepernick in the second round. And can I build a team around a running game and a defense? And Tim Tebow did it last year, but we're now finding guys that can do what he did on a flashier basis running the ball and can throw it better than he can. So, this thing is still evolving. It really is. It's a really interesting part of the game to follow right now.
He's Cris Collinsworth, Football Night in America, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Does Ndamukong Suh deserve the benefit of the doubt?
I've watched that 1,000 times, and we were having our meeting with Aaron Rodgers, and his belief was that he did it on purpose, and
so did I.
Yeah, a lot of people did. Let me throw out one possibility that I don't know that has been discussed that much. When a pass rusher gets that close to the quarterback, that's how they get paid. Let's face it. You put him on the ground, you get paid more money. So whenever a pass rusher gets that close to the quarterback, and he's not going to get there, but he is going to throw everything he has towards the quarterback. In this case, his upper body was going one way, and I think he threw his legs at the quarterback, much the same way that we see people who are on the ground trying to make a tackle roll over and flip their legs at running backs. Do I think that he intentionally kicked him in the groin? What is he, Bruce Lee? Is he really that accurate that he can, without looking at the guy, know exactly where he's kicking? I tend to doubt that. What I do think he did was throw what he had available at the quarterback, and that was the back of his leg.
Would you fine him?
I probably wouldn't. I looked at it. I think to bring intent into this equation and to look at the tape, just purely look at the tape and say, I know that he tried to kick him in the groin, I think is a leap. And I wasn't surprised when the league didn't.
Jamal Charles asked Peyton Manning for an autograph after the game. Gets caught on tape doing so. Big deal?
Only if he sells it on eBay.
Did you ever ask for an autograph?
There are certain guys that you played against, and let's face it, a lot of these kids are 22, 23 years old, and they've been watching them since they were, kids. I used to joke with Kenny Anderson that I used to love watching him in elementary school, and there wasn't far-fetched, So, I think that they're young men, and I have absolutely no problem with it. Once the game is over. The game is over. It's harder, I think, sometimes for the fans to get over the game being over than it is for the players. When you've had a chance to go out there and fight, and you know what it's like, you give it everything you got, and at the end of it, you go, they just whipped us, and you can kind of live with that. That's like when I got cut by the Bengals. People's like, oh, aren't you upset? I'm like, no, I gave it everything I had, and I got cut, and, now it's time to go on, So I think there's a certain part of that is easier for players than it is for fans.
Brandon Moore of the Jets is not one of your biggest fans, Chris.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, he's a little bit upset with the way you described the play where Mark Sanchez slides into Moore's backside, and you gave credit to Vince Wilfork for sort of creating the play there and pushing Moore back. Moore said that it was actually Sanchez who took out his legs, and that's why he fell.
Yeah, I've got to be really honest with you here. We watched the thing from 150 yards away after, and I didn't even think about it until I heard about his comments from everybody. I've heard about them from everybody. And you go back and you look at it, and I think Vince Wilfork made a great play. I'm not backing off of that in the slightest degree. I think he saw the busted play, sort of directed his blocker back into him, and had a lot to do with the fact that he ran into his backside. But that being said, what I thought was sort of Wilfork picking up Brandon Moore and slamming him back into it was much more of Sanchez causing him to buckle almost, which gave Wilfork a big advantage. So I've got to say, he's got a good point on this one.
But you're doing that game, and it's Thursday night, it's Thanksgiving, and, this is a great moment for the Jets and Woody Johnson, and we're going to show the Patriots, and all of a sudden it becomes embarrassingly funny. As the color analyst, what part of your job is to laugh at something like that, or at least look at it from a humorous perspective instead of just being analytical with it?
Yeah, it's if I had it to do all over again, and I probably shouldn't confess this, but I will. It's been a while since I've done a game on Thanksgiving night, but I really think that broadcast is a little bit different. You've got people and grandmas and people that are watching football that never. So in my mind, I probably think, all right, don't be your usual jerk self. Let's try to be positive. Let's say guys made good plays instead of bad plays. And, Vince Wilfork, okay, he made a good play on that thing. Let's talk about that. Let's not talk about, but it was unbelievable. And at one point, probably the one that I bit my tongue on a little bit was when it was 35-0, and the Jets right before the half kicked a field goal, and there was like a single firework that went up. I mean, just one above the stadium. And I just started laughing. I just couldn't help myself. And I was like, they shot a firework. It wasn't even like plural. It was just like, and I go, really? Is that what we're down to here with this game? And so I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that next year. Next year, I'm just going to go ahead and be my jerk self and just call it the way I always do.
So do you think that you would have had less humor inserted in that, is what you're saying?
In what?
In your game on, when you did the Jets, that like you were laughing not with him but at him.
I I don't think you can say what you're going to do. I mean, as much as in broadcasting as you want to believe that you're going to, have a plan going into it, I can't be anything other than me. And if it's funny, it's funny. If it's sad, it's sad. If it's a bad play, I should just say it's a bad play. And in reality, if I had that play to do over again, I would have said Vince Wilfork made a great play and Mark Sanchez made a really bad play. That was the part of the play that I left out. And indirectly, I mean, really, I didn't say anything about Brandon Moore, didn't intend to bury him, but I understand what he's saying. I inadvertently buried him by not saying it was Mark Sanchez's fault for going the wrong way on the play, I assume, or the running back did, or somebody did, and B, sort of running blindly into his backside. That was the part of it I left out. But the rest of the stuff, it was all sort of, it just was what it was. I mean, it was within 1 minute's time, three of the most bizarre plays I've ever seen. I mean, to see that streaking running back going down the sideline, then the kickoff falls right into Julian Edelman's hands, and then running into the backside of your offensive lineman and going for a touchdown. I mean, those are three plays at the end of the season I will remember, and as many times as I've been hit in the head, I will probably remember only 10 or 15 all year. But those three happened within a minute. So, I mean, there was some entertainment value to it.
I liked it. I thought you were being honest as you're watching it, probably as most people around the country, except for maybe Woody Johnson and Rex Ryan. But safe travels. I know you got Dallas and Philly coming up on Sunday, and you'll be your tape and Showtime coming up tonight inside the NFL, 9 Eastern, each Wednesday throughout the NFL season.
Yeah, just making friends everywhere I go.
Yeah, you are. Good to visit with you, buddy. Thank you, Chris.
All right, man.
All right. Cris Collinsworth, Football Night in America.